Hi, students. Before we start our new unit, Unit 2, we have some reteaching and retesting to do because of the some of the standards that were not mastered on the benchmark 1. You were all given a handout this morning, and you have your folder with your benchmarks in them. Please quickly take out your benchmarks, and I want you to do the first part of this handout, which covers standard RL3, analyzing how particular elements of a story or drama interact. So that's question number 5, question number 17, and question number 21. Please write your answer choice, and basically, I want you to write your reason for choosing that particular answer. Please do all 3 of these questions. You can pause the video now to complete this part of the handout. Okay, now that that is done, I'm going to do a little bit of reteaching on this standard. RL stands for reading literature, which pertains to fictional stories, and 3 is this standard right here, which says analyze how particular elements of a story or drama interact, how setting shapes the character and plot. So I put the plot diagram here, which we've seen over and over several times. It includes the exposition, the conflict where the problem is basically introduced, the rise in action. This is the part of the story that leads up to the climax. The climax is usually like the most exciting part or the turning point in the story, fall in action, and resolution. I want you to pause the video again here, and I want you to watch this video from YouTube. It's a vocabulary video that's very, very cute, and it covers all of the important elements of stories. So please pause the video. You may need to copy and paste this URL into another tab, or you may be able to just click it from this slide. All right, now that you've watched the video, hopefully that's a little refresher on the important elements of a story. So, question number 5, it asks in paragraph 13, how does the grasshopper saxophone affect the plot of the story? So, many of you chose C. It causes the ant to miss the summer months. But the correct answer was actually B. It leads the ant to help the grasshopper. So you see in my explanation right here in my teacher notes, I put students chose C because it was the most obvious and literal, and it happened in the story. You kind of think that he missed the summer months, but he really didn't miss the summer months. Students had to understand a little bit about symbolism, which is the saxophone, in order to get this correct. The saxophone did not make him miss the summer months. His attitude did that. But it did get the ant's attention. And the bigger idea the question is referring to is the story's theme, which is the selflessness of the ant, even though the grasshopper wasn't prepared. So the saxophone really led the ant to help the grasshopper. It didn't really make the ant miss the summer months. And the ant didn't miss the summer months anyway. It was the grasshopper. So you have to be very careful because a lot of times these answers are really, really tricky. So the ant did not miss the summer months at all. It was the grasshopper who just kind of played away during the summer months and did not prepare for the winter. Question number 17. It says, how does the author use setting to develop the passage? Now, this question was about the story Drawing Goodbye, which was about Julius and moving to Baltimore. So you see right here in my notes, my teacher notes, it says choice A was truly a silly answer because other characters weren't truly developed in the story. So you should not have chosen that answer. That refers to this answer that refers to setting, revealing relationships among other characters, because Julius was the only one that we really got to understand his feelings about moving. Choice C was the tricky answer because students might think that the setting is foreshadowing because he's moving. But the story doesn't go beyond that point. We don't know or find out as a reader if he likes the new place or not. So the correct answer is actually D. The setting is the source of his conflict. The conflict is Julius doesn't want to move. He wants to stay and continue living in the house that he's known basically all of his life. So that is the big problem. So that is how the setting is a source of the conflict. All right. And this for this question, as you can see on my data analysis right here, only 46% of you actually chose D. 25% of you chose A, and 21% of you chose C for that question. So that was really a tricky one. If moving on to question number 21, all of these still go with the same standard, analyzing how particular elements of a story or drama interact. So this one was about how Watson learned the trick. It says, how does the character Watson most shape the plot of how Watson learned the trick? So you really had to understand the story to get the multiple choice correct for this one. And I think word choice is in the answer choices also tripped many of you up. You were tricked by the words experience and eagerness. Many of you chose C, but Holmes really doesn't have any abilities and he's not experienced. He is actually wrong in all of his assumptions. He is eager though because he thinks he is right and has figured Watson out. So you really had to understand the story in order to get this question correct. All right. Um, moving on. The other standard that we are definitely going to focus on today and ongoing is the literary analysis. Only 34% of you actually got basic or better on the literary analysis. And I know it's for several different reasons. So the standard states write informative explanatory text to examine its topic and convey ideas, concepts, and information through the selection, organization, and analysis of relevant content. So that is the standard. But your prompt was, it says you have read a passage from Drawing Goodbye and the story How Watson Learned the Trick, both of which contain contrasting points of view. Write an essay that identifies two contrasting points of view in each passage and analyze how each author develops those points of view. Be sure to include specific details from both texts to support your response. Now, that prompt is loaded. It's lots of stuff in there that you have to do. So, if you look at this next slide right here, I kind of broke down the prompt for you. Write an essay. Essay is basically a multiple paragraph essay. At least 4 to 5 paragraphs that identifies two contrasting points of view. Contrast means different. So in one story, we had Julie's point of view versus his parents. And in the other story, you had Holmes's point of view versus Watson's point of view. Your job was to actually analyze. Analyze. That's your job and how each author develops. Now, this is something that a lot of you really didn't even touch in your essays. A lot of you understood the two different points of view, but you didn't actually describe how it is developed. So, point of view can be developed through actions, feelings, thoughts, and dialogue. Whether it is done through first person narration, the person who's telling the story, or a third person narration, and we can see the main character's thoughts and feelings and the actions that he's doing. And then you also had to use evidence to support your analysis. So if you look at my sample model introduction paragraph and the checklist below, please read the introduction very quickly and then check off everything check to see whether all of these things are in the introduction. The titles, the authors, restate of the prompt, or the use of important words from the prompts, and the power of three. Do you really know what I'm going to cover in those body paragraphs? Please feel free to annotate this introduction as you see fit. You can pause the video at any time. Then look at my body paragraph. I wrote a body paragraph for the first story, Drawing a Bot. I want you to read over this body paragraph, and then I want you to complete the checklist right here to see if I have all of the necessary things that the body paragraph is supposed to have. Topic sentence, answer to the prompt, evidence, explanation, so on and so forth.